Hey guys, welcome to Choose Your Own Path. So, you want to learn how to make a Grim Reaper? Hey, stick around, man. It's that easy. So, all you're gonna have to get is, and it's all household supplies: tissue paper, toilet paper, foil paper, hot glue. You can get yourself some Mod Podge if you want. Optional. Use white glue. Same thing. Takes a lot longer to dry. And paint. The sickle is just a popsicle stick that did the top, and I used, where to go? This is for one of those little meat skewers. That's your handle. It's as simple as that. So let's get started. First thing you're going to want to do is lay out your foil paper. You want to figure out the body. You want it thick, but not too thick because it's going to be heavy. So all you want to do is take a corner and sort of keep on going round and round until it gets thick. Now, the height makes a difference by cutting off, I'd say about 4 inches. Put that aside. About 4 inches. And all you're going to do is keep on going round and round with it until you got that. Then all you want to do is basically turn the end in and then start shaping. So the shape of it is up to you, what you want. Easy Sort of a Reaper has sort of a, he's got his, what do they call it, his cap. You don't have to worry about this stage as important. This is just the base part of what you want it to be. So what I do is I just form it, and then I'll twist the head like a cobra head, right? Put my finger in there, squeeze the ends in. Now you can see it's very thin. That's okay. That's not going to make a difference. You can keep on wrapping more, or what I did was I took the hot glue. So just size reference, that's pretty much what I'm looking for. Now if you want to make this easier, take a pencil or a pen, use the back end, and kind of form it around it. So it makes that hood, but it also gives that void in there. Bring his head down a bit, and that's it. So next step, get the hot glue gun. Alright, so I forgot this step. Take another piece of foil and bunch it up the same, just nice and round. You can make a hole in the middle, and what you want to do is you want to insert that in for its stomach. That's why you can make it thicker, but this is easier the way I did it for myself. So then what I'll do is I'll put a nice big glob of hot glue inside. I'm going to shove them in there. Now you got to remember that foil retains heat, which means that once this hot glue gets in here, this becomes hot. It does become warm, and it stays warm for a little bit, but it's not horrible. Okay, so now you got yourself the stomach. So all you're going to want to do is take your hot glue gun and sort of just, I start with the middle by getting all over the foil. The reason I use hot glue gun, guys, is foil doesn't paint very well. In fact, foil doesn't paint well at all. Okay, so I'm just trying to coat it a bit. You will go through a lot of hot glue, let me tell you. Okay, so we're just going to leave that on the top, and what you got is his body. Now, it's not big enough. That's just the way it is. We let that dry for a couple of minutes, let it set. Your next step would be, whoops, you gotta let that dry, because if you don't let it dry, it sticks to your fingers. once it's on there and it's dry, you're just going to move to your paper towel. Now, the best thing that I've used is the Mod Podge. Mod Podge with any kind of paint to it. I use a darker paint, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, and we're going to do the front first. So I'm just going to add this to the front, okay? To the top, to the front, whatever. That's going to be our first step. Then what you want to do is you want to take your paper and sort of wrap it around. Take your Mod Podge again and just goop it on there. When you're pressing down with the hot glue, it forms a lot of lines on it, but that's not the final step of it, so we're not worried about that. You want to get this on there good, okay? So we're going to go all the way around, some on the back. Now what you have is the body, and it's pretty easy. The thing is, this stuff does take time to dry. So you could still work on, like, say, the hood. So same thing, adding our Mod Podge to the hood. Adding a piece on top. Any way you'd like. Doesn't matter. And then gluing it on to the piece itself. Now, don't worry if you missed it or if you messed it up a bit. You can always add little pieces of the paper, and they can go anywhere you want. It's almost like a paper mache kind of a project, but you're not using paper mache. You're using either toilet paper, or I have paper towels here. So there you have the shape of your Reaper. One thing you'll have to do is, unfortunately, it's best to let it dry. But we can keep on going because that's just the way it is. What I'd like to do now is take another piece of paper, and I like to fold it in, have side by side by side, and then I'll take the corners and I'll make like a cape. All right, and what that's going to do is that's going to become more of his cape. All right, so we'll do the back first, just so it sticks. So now he has a cape. We're gonna let it dry. We'll be back. Alright guys, so once your guy is dry, you want to make him some arms. So again, just a piece of foil, poke a hole anywhere on the side, wherever you think is best. Get your hot glue. And what you want to do is insert it inside. Doesn't matter what it looks like at first, because you're always going to be able to shape it up after. Alright, so we're going to do that for both sides. Take some hot glue and just sort of go around it, just so it stays heated, or stays secure to your miniature you're making. So then what you got is something like that. It looks kind of funky, but it'll change. My guy's not completely dry again, so that's kind of funky. In this stage, though, we can shape out our hood, and if you get big chunks of things like that, it'll come off, so you have to be careful. always let your hot glue dry first. So what I like to do here now is just basically shape the hand. So what I want is it to look like he's got his hand up in the air, holding the stick, and then this guy here sort of pointing at you. All right. Once you've done that, what you could do is the hood needs to be pushed in. Now, when I mean pushed in is just worked on so that it looks like he has a space, a void space. So what I take is just anything round, and inside where the face is, I just kind of push it, because again guys, we have foil paper and we have hot glue, and it's easy to work with. Alright, and while you're at it, you can shape your body so you can make his torso slim if you want, and so on. Alright, so now what I do is, get a foil, I'm just gonna add some hot glue. So what I'll do is I'll just put a little dab and pull it down, and just making lines on his stomach, sort of all over the place. Nothing big, just enough to give it that texture. Okay, and I go all the way around. This project takes a lot of hot glue, so make sure you have enough on hand when you're doing it. These packages come from the dollar store. They're like $1.25 each. It's pretty cheap for a small project like this, or any project, to tell you the truth. So what I like to do is just make sure that all, not big clumps, and then I'll also do the arms, getting glue all over the arms. Okay. And then if the bottom is semi-dry, which it's not, I also want to put some glue inside behind the cape, because I noticed that it didn't stick as fast and as well with the Mod Podge. So you want to make sure that you get a good bond. Okay. Oops. And hot glue is hot for a reason. And then again, we're going to put some on his hood. Like I said, just what we're doing is just making little ziggly zags everywhere. Alright. Then we're going to let that set for a couple seconds. Make sure you unplug your heat gun. I left it running for a little bit while I was out. That's dangerous. Okay, so what's going to happen is now this is going to set. I should put some right there. Alright, for this next step, what I did was I put a toothpick up his butt. And what we're going to do is we're going to add the arms. So we're going to put our Mod Podge all over his arms. And we'll take a piece of tissue paper, and we will do like we did before. We'll just, oops, making a mess. We'll just add that to our foil. Now, that hopefully add girth to the arms. I used the word girth. And you can take off whatever you think is too much. And then put it on with your hand. So it kind of gets sticky on there, tightness to it. Okay. Then we'll do the other side, same thing. Adding our Mod Podge with our mixture, and we'll add that. And again, guys, the reason we do this is so that we could add paint to our project. Our project won't paint very well on the foil. So we're just going to wrap that around a bit. And then add some liquid to it. Alright. And then we got him doing that. Pretty basic. What we can do next is, because we can't work on any other paint, is we could add more tissue to our project. And so what we'll do is we'll just put some more Mod Podge on there. We're going to sort of give it so that we can have his arms out. And all we're going to do with this is just give this a good wetting, I guess you could say. And what's going to happen is this is going to dry on here. Now you can see how that works. He's got a cape now, and that's going to dry on there pretty funky. It's going to look pretty cool. I didn't do that with the other one because everyone's going to be different. So we add that like that. And then we'll do the same thing for the other side, just kind of taking a triangular piece and we gotta figure out what we want to do before we do it. Sort of like that. Alright, let's just add his cape like that. That's okay. You can have a lot of extra cape on them. You can also cut this later, okay guys? So we'll just add our Mod Podge to it. Like so. So like I said, you could always trim that down after, sort of cut it up, fold it in, whatever you want to do. It's up to you. So now that that's done, we know that we can't go any further because it is wet. So when we come back for our next stage, it will be dry. We will do what we need to do, make it look kind of ratty, and then we'll paint it up. But we're also going to make a base for it. So we will be back to the next video. Alright guys, we're back the next day. Now our Reaper is dry. Alright, so you can see he's got a lot of this is the hot glue, that effect that it makes with the toilet paper, okay? So next thing you want to do is get yourself just a piece of styrofoam. Where the toothpick was, I poked it in, and then I hot glued it to a base. The base, what I'm using is just these are old pieces of clipboards that were thrown out. So cut out, nice and rigid, nice and solid. So he's ready to have his sickle. All I did was I took a piece of popsicle stick, a bigger one, cut it to that angle, And then you can see I split it in the middle. So all we need to do is plug in our hot glue. We're going to let our hot glue warm up. And then we're going to attach the sickle so it stays solid. Okay, so when your hot glue is ready, which is close, you basically want to cover, I cover the whole stick. Why? Because again, alright, we'll show you that in a second. So let it get nice and warm. Make sure you get some in those cracks. That's the most important part, is to get them inside those cracks. And then what I do is I am going to just glob it all over the place. Again, the effect will be there when painted. Okay, so let it harden first, which I should have done. Doesn't take long. It's hot glue, right? So it sets fast. You'll have all those little wisps. That's fine. It's not going to hurt it. And as you're waiting, slowly just add the effect of I don't know, old ripple-y kind of look. You don't want to go too fast because you don't want bumps. You just want like it all over the place. So the next step is to place it in his hand. You could paint after or you could paint now. It's up to you. It doesn't really matter. So we can get a better angle here. So my Ripper is going to have it in his hand like this at an angle. Okay, so I have to turn that towards me. And all I want to do is hot glue it to the base. And when that's done, I'm also going to hot glue it to his hand. I put enough hot glue on it so it won't come off. Okay. And I mean on the base and around his hand too. Depending on how you want your Reaper to look. I always like to keep the strands on. I don't take the strands off. I leave them on. It gives it that effect. I'll even pull because I'm going to still put some more paint on here. Not done with it. Make sure your Sith stays on the way you want it to look. Once it hardens up, you could always take your glue gun and heat it up and then turn it the way you want it. I also added a little bit more glue to the hand, so the effect is it has it almost looks like it's part of his hand. Okay. So there you go. Now we're going to let it set for a little bit. We're going to let it set. Let me just unplug this. We're going to let him set, and then we are going to paint the sickle, and then we're going to paint our Reaper, and then we're just going to add just a thing of Mod Podge. You can't see me there. Mod Podge on it to keep it hardened. It's pretty hard now. It's pretty solid, and hopefully we'll get that effect of this guy. Pretty close. This guy's a little bit thicker, a little bit bigger. Never two are the same. Alright, stay tuned for that. Alright guys, so to ask how you paint your mini, that's up to you, because that's not something that you can overly show how to paint it. It's the colors you want to use. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to show you is I'm using a gray and a white, so it just makes it sort of very pale. And all I'm going to do is I added a bit much, but that's okay. So all you want to do is mix it really well. Get it off your brush, all right? And when I mean off, as minimal as you can. Then all you're gonna want to do is hit the top, like so. So you get that kind of grayish effect. And what it's doing is it's hitting the tops of the hot glue and the toilet paper, I guess, that's on there. Now this depends on, again, how much paint you want to use, you know, how much effect you want to give it. I like to make it look not only just dark, but sort of eerie. And by doing that is by highlighting the top of it. Nothing difficult on this one. It's just as much paint as you want to use to give it that effect, as you can see in the back. You also want to do the front too. It's almost like a dry brushing, but you want to keep some paint on it to give her bigger highlights, the different spots. Because you want them to look eerie, spooky. Go around it and see what you missed and what you want more of. And there you go. So you can really see where the pieces, like where all the hot glue sticks out. Yeah, pretty simple. Pretty simple build. Didn't take very much effort. Time-wise, you know, it took at least a day or so, because you definitely want to let it dry if you're putting a lot of paint or glue. That's a big problem. The rock, same thing. You could add a little bit of touches to it just to sort of highlight the rock, sort of in there. If you think that, you know, it blends in too much, take another color, as in maybe some brown, because rocks are brown. Just give it a little bit of a touch on the rock, just so it separates the Reaper from looking at just, you know, always just on there. So whatever, we could just paint the rock kind of brownish. And then, like I said, your staff is whatever color you want it to be. And that. So, final step, letting it dry. Dry it. What I do is I'll take a hair dryer and I'll give it a dry, help it out a bit. And then the final step, or stage, whatever you want to say, call it, will be to add just Mod Podge to it. And then the Mod Podge, what that will do, well, it will stiffen it up completely. And then you're ready to go. So we're going to let that dry and then just add a Mod Podge. So that's it. 2 Reapers done. Let me know what you think, if you like it or not. Don't matter. It's good. It's fun. Part of the game set that's always on the go. We're getting quite a bit of stuff made. Monsters, treasure chests, all that other stuff. So thanks for watching. Choose your own path. Stay positive. Give everybody a thumbs up when they're doing art, because you know what? It's what we do. Never discredit anybody's art. Not around me. Alright guys, thanks for watching. If I can do it, you can do it.